votes are on the table with Whoopi, Abby Huntsman, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and Meghan McCain. Now, let's get things started.
The White House is realizing just how much the shutdown is devastating the national economy. So they're calling 50,000 government employees back to work without pay. Now, a lot of these employees have taken other work to pay the bills during the shutdown. So the question really is, how do you expect folks to come back and not get paid when they have to feed their families and get medication for their kids and pay their mortgages?
It also costs money to go to work. You have to have lunch, you have to pay for transportation, you have to get up in the morning, get dressed. Daycare, so
that's
it's impossible.
That's what I was thinking about, because you have rent or mortgage, you have the daycare, you have to buy food, you have to get there.
How do they do this?
And then the TSA worker, the average salary is $30,000, and the average American doesn't have any savings. If they have $1,000, that is very unusual.
Yeah. Not to mention medications that keep people alive. I've read. My sister has type 1 diabetes. I've read horror stories about people just being able to pay for their insulin to keep their body running. So there are 400,000 essential workers that were already without pay, but what he's done is added 50,000 that will now be working without pay. And they're saying it's to soften the impact of the shutdown, to, I guess, reduce political pressure. So it makes it less likely for them to want to come to an agreement.
But all he has to do really is end the shutdown and then talk to the Democrats about what to do. He'll do that. He doesn't want to do that.
But I will say he invited rank-and-file members of Congress of the Democratic Party to meet with him yesterday, and not one House Democrat chose to show up to speak with him, and I would have applauded any Democrats that would have chosen to come and go speak with him.
Remember, they went the last time.
I know, but
they've been a couple of times, and I think I'm sorry, I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, I just think that we should expect our politicians to have some modicum of maturity, because there is a bottom line here that people are feeling the hurt of this economically in a lot of different ways. And I really do fear that there's going to be no budging on either side, and that our government's going to be shut down for an almost fathomable amount of time. And this is the kind of stuff that happens in third world countries. This isn't the type of thing that's supposed to be happening in America.
Don't you think that the Republican Party will put pressure on him eventually?
I hope so.
And he'll do one of those emergency things he wants to do.
But can I say, Sunny had emergency. But Sunny, say again, because she said this on the show last week, that the deal you presented in front of us about Democrats exchanging DACA for
immigration reform, for money for the wall. But what I learned,
I thought that was a great idea.
I thought so too.
So did they for 10 minutes, and then he changed his mind.
I learned that the vice president said that DACA would never be considered until the Supreme Court dealt with it, because the Trump administration is still determining whether or not they think that it will become law. Well, so they're hedging their bets. They're saying, you know what, we're not going to negotiate on DACA because we're still thinking that maybe
Vice President
the Supreme Court will say
power, and it's not his decision.
It does seem weird to me, though, that we were in a place a year ago, literally a year ago, when Democrats were willing to agree to $20 billion for the wall, right? And now, but now they're not willing to budge on any money for the wall.
Well, because
so
why should they?
how do you go from such an extreme and a year later? So
wait a minute.
My issue is there's no strategy right now.
Republicans aren't offering
But wait a second. Why should Nancy Pelosi give in? The polls are on her side, and if you
so you're admitting that it's
wait a second. If you give in to his shutdown this time, he'll shut it down the next time he doesn't get his way.
How about we do what's just right for the country?
It's a child. You give him the cookie this time, he wants the cookie the next time. That's what we're dealing with.
But I will say, what I don't understand is Trump wants the money for this wall on the Mexico border, and he's saying, you know, Mexicans are bringing drugs in and crime in. Why not think about a wall on the Canadian border? The Canadian border is extremely porous, and they just had this huge drug bust there. There's a trafficking question with fentanyl.
Would Democrats
so
agree
is
to
he
that
really
wall?
that concerned?
Here's the thing. Why are we agreeing to any wall when the man said He said many, many times,
Pesos.
Mexico
We'll pay for the
is
wall.
going to pay for this wall.
Pesos.
And I said last week, when did we, the American public, when did we become Mexico?
Yeah.
When did we become the ones that have to take care of this? When you said, as the major deal maker, of course he's the major deal maker, that's what he said.
Yeah.
So why I want him to say I couldn't make it work with Mexico. I just want him to admit
He won't.
You know,
I also kind of resent that I have to pay taxes for something to a man that doesn't pay taxes. He does not pay taxes. Why are they using my tax money for his wall when he doesn't
But
even
again,
pay taxes?
the bigger point I'm trying to make is I agree with you, Whoopi, and I think he did make a promise over 200 times to the American people and has not followed through. But my question now is we are here at this place where no one has a strategy. No one seems to be willing to compromise on anything to come to the middle. They're not even meeting together at the White House is where we are right now. Why were Democrats willing even a year ago to pay for that money, knowing that the Mexicans weren't paying for
because
it?
well, they didn't know the Mexicans weren't paying for it, but they were trying to do what everybody always wants us to do, which is try to work it out, try to be on the good side. And now we're doing what they're doing. And nobody likes it.
Immigration
But
reform was on the table then.
I just want to say
immigration reform was on the table.
Real people are in trouble.
Yeah,
And
I mean, that's the bottom line
That
that we
is the
should be the
bottom line.
most concerned about. And by the way, 30 grand for a TSA worker, they're at the front lines of protecting us from terrorism.
Yes.
Paid a lot more.
want
Which is
I am
why
not for government agencies normally, but that is the line
Nancy
between us and...
just wrote a letter to the guy, to the new guy. And
He's not new anymore.
Well, he's still new to me.
Individual one.
He's still new to me. You can call him individual. For me, he's always the new guy. Who said this was his shutdown. She was asking him to work with them to delay doing the State of the Union because there isn't the security that there should be.
Yes.
And it never,
dangerous,
it could be very dangerous.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was something that I hadn't thought of. I hadn't thought about that.
I necessarily disagree with her on that.
I agree with Nancy Pelosi on that. How do you have a State of the Union address where you're supposed to talk about the progresses we've made as a nation, and really it's a time where you bring it together, where you know what it would be? It would be the president talking to the camera like he did a week ago, where we all said that was just a disaster, didn't get us anywhere.
For whatever it's worth, I just want to have a reminder that the bipartisanship that existed in this country was not that long ago. It really hasn't been that great of amount of time. Not to name drop it.
Well, it was since
No, it really wasn't.
Gingrich started.
No, I had dinner last night with Joe and Hadassah Lieberman, who are Democrats, who are my family and keeping me sane right now. And they are two people who fought on different sides. And it is not that long ago that Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan prayed together after Ronald Reagan was shot. And I'm just begging the American public and our politicians to go back to that moment. And we should start here on this show
But don't you think it ended when they said that?
Please stop.
But don't you think it...
Go ahead and finish the sentence.
I just feel that it ended when everyone said, you know, Obama's going to be a one-term president.
I never said that.
I feel,
I've
no,
never
I
said anything like that.
I feel that that's
No, it ended when we have the current
civility
leadership we have
ended.
in D.C. That's when it ended.
And you know what's ending right now?
This segment.
This segment will be back.
Later, setting the bar. Attorney General nominee William Barr promises he'll protect the Mueller investigation, but he may not let you see the results.
Hey, so welcome back. Before we move on, I want you to know that you can go to our website if you're interested in finding ways to help folks who are being impacted by this shutdown, you know, whether it's through food pantries or whether you're able to give any kind of contributions. If you go to our website, we'll give you some suggestions of stuff that you can do and ways to act our fellow Americans.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know who's nominee for Attorney General, William Barr, is also a longtime friend of Robert Mueller. And he says he'll protect the investigation and will not be bullied. But here's what he said that has, I guess, people concerned. Take a look.
Will you commit to making any report Mueller produces at the conclusion of his investigation available to Congress and to the public?
I am going to make as much information available as can, consistent with the rules and regulations that are part of the special counsel regulations.
Now, people, I guess some people are concerned that he's hinting that Mueller's report may not be made public. But it's understandable, particularly if there's all kinds of, you know, classified information. So I wonder if he's not correct in saying I'll do as much as I can, but I can't guarantee that I'm going to give you everything because maybe you're not supposed to have everything. I don't know.
I watched it yesterday. I was watching it. He's very impressive. He's very smart. He seems like a good guy. He says, you know, that Mueller is a friend of his for many years. He doesn't intend to fire Mueller without due cause, etc. But, you know, in a way, he's like a teenager at the prom. You know what I mean? He'll say anything to get the job. Okay? So I don't 100% trust. You know what I'm saying? He's out there saying all the things they want to hear. And then at the end of it, he says, well, maybe when the Mueller report comes down, I'll check it out and I'll give you a summation. It's not the Barr report. It's the Mueller report. I want to see the whole report, don't you? And so does the Congress.
What if there's stuff in there that actually shouldn't be made public?
I think there are like national security risks and reasons why you do have to, you know, put a black marker over a lot of this stuff.
Wouldn't everybody in that job have to do a similar thing?
I agree with you, Whoopi. It just seems to me when you look at the obligations of the special counsel, they have to give the report to the Attorney General. And if we've been talking about Russia, we've been talking about potential collusion. We're now even talking about the potential that the president may have worked with Russia as a possible Russian agent. I mean, that's information.
Not part of Mueller's report, right?
Well, we don't even know. We don't even know.
Okay.
So in my view, I mean, that's not something that should be released to the American public. I didn't even think that Kenneth Starr, the Starr report should have been released to the general public.
First off, the Congress needs to see it. And why can't he make a decision about what's going to be released with Mueller also? And then the other thing is, you know, why is he suddenly, and he was appointed by Trump, so I don't trust that right away.
He also worked under George W. Bush. And he said a lot of things that the Democrats were even happy with, saying that he doesn't have a reason to fire Mueller. He wants to keep the investigation going. He said it's not a witch hunt. But here's my other thing. Robert Mueller has been so quiet and secretive. He is turning over every stone here. And I've talked to a lot of Democrats who say whatever comes out in his report, you got to believe that because he has done the work. Right. And if there's something in the report that isn't released by Barr, in the world we're in, it's going to be leaked out. We're going to. If he's an agent for the Russians, Trump, we're going to find that out.
There are leaks all over the place. So it's going to be leaked anyway.
Right.
Maybe.
That's why I don't worry too much about him hiding stuff that we need to know because we will figure it out at some point.
Yeah, I don't know that we should see it.
Well, this is one of those conversations that everybody's going to be having. But you know what? We can't have it no more because we got to go. We'll be back. Welcome back. The controversy over the Women's March has just cost them a big sponsor. The Democratic National Committee backed out of this year's march. So the fallout continues. So now there is a show about tidying up, apparently. It's called Tidying Up with Marie Kondo. It's a Netflix series, and it lays down rules for decluttering. Like, only hold on to things that bring you joy.
Look, I'll come and do it for you.
And set limits on how many books you should have in your house.
Only 30.
I don't know this woman. She don't know my house. I'm not listening to her. I'm going to have as many books. She don't know my house. I'm keeping as many books as I want.
You say, you pick it up and you say, does this create a spark? Does this mug bring me joy?
Who has time?
No, and then you throw it out.
Who has time for that? Listen, most people open the closet door and say, and toss it out. I mean, it's, you know, if you have time to go through each thing.
No, I know people that do. I have a lot of people in my life that
do you have a lot of time to do that?
I throw it out. Megan knows. I throw out everything. When we get boxes, like for my daughter, she had a piano a few months ago. We put it together. I threw out the instructions in the box because we don't need it. And my husband sat down to put it together, and he's like, well, where are the instructions? I said, well, that's me, but I know a lot of people that keep every single thing, and they think it's, or they lose someone in their family, they don't want to let it go, and so their house is just full of stuff.
That's smart.
That's what he has.
I had a friend who used to take the instruction booklet and staple the receipt to it.
Yeah.
So you always have it in one place. That's really smart.
that's smart.
Yeah,
And
that's
Can I
smart.
just say something about these instruction booklets, even though that's not really what we're talking about? Hey, companies, when you write these instruction booklets, could you write it a little bigger?
Yeah.
Can you make it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so tiny that I don't care. I don't care if I put it together. I hope it falls apart. I hate you so much.
Yeah.
And he fills out the warranty card, sends it, he gets everything, and he has everything in a
Because that's right.
Well, I like a little OCD in a man.
And apparently men are complaining
you on, Joy?
that this show reinforces stereotypes that men have no interest in cleaning the house.
No. Not true.
Well,
I've never watched the show, so I don't know, but I know lots of men who live themselves and have a very clean house.
Yeah.
Well,
or live with people and clean up. Not all
I know
men don't
that
clean up.
Live like frat houses and they're like grown men.
That's me.
No, I've met, not to
I've
throw
been to your
shade
house.
at
That's not
some
true.
people I'm related to.
You have been in my room.
I mean, Manny has the drawer with the stuff, but then he just bought a sign that says, "A cluttered space is an organized mind," which I don't agree with.
I don't know what that is.
So we live kind of differently. He's kind of cluttered.
But you know what isn't cluttered? You want to see an amazing gymnast? Do you guys do you have it ready?
Oh, yeah.
Are you guys up with the gymnast thing? No, not y'all. Not y'all.
Brian.
UCLA, never mind, it's okay. UCLA gymnast Caitlin Ohoshi's routine has gone viral. Right now, you have to look at what this girl is able to do. Check it out. I hope we get to have some time with her on the show, because she's an extraordinary gymnast. And if your kids want to be gymnasts, show them this. We'll be right back.
That's how I lost my virginity.
How is New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio able to do what the White House hasn't and make health care available to all? He's live on The View. Next.
A lot of Democrats are calling for comprehensive health care for every American, and Bill de Blasio just announced he's making it happen for all New Yorkers, including undocumented immigrants. He's here to tell us how he did it and what the White House can learn from it. Please welcome Mayor Bill de Blasio. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Well, you made quite a bit of news last week when you announced that New York City will now guarantee health care to anyone who needs it, including 300,000 undocumented immigrants at the cost of $100 million. But what do you say to people who say they don't want to pay for the undocumented?
Okay, let me tell you why we're doing it first, and then I'll answer that.
Okay.
Everyone should have a right to health care. Here's the idea. Everyone should have a right to health care. It should be universal, and if it's universal, people will actually go and get the health care they need when they need it, not end up in an emergency room. Let's face it, the emergency room is the family doctor now for millions and millions of Americans.
And tax dollars pay for
And
a lot of that.
tax dollars
Right.
pay for it. It is expensive, it's backwards, and it means people get really, really sick before they ever seek help. If you have a guarantee of health care, no matter who you are, you get a primary care doctor assigned to you, you have the ability to get all the other care you need. You need maternity care, OBGYN, you need pediatrics, you need mental health services, whatever it is. If you have access to it, you will actually get the health care you need when you need it. What's the problem in this city, in this country? It's hard to get the health care you need. It's too expensive. Do you think it's expensive to get health care in this country?
I agree with you.
But if we make it universal and straightforward, then people get the care they need when they need it. So we said very simply two things. One, we got about 600,000 people in this city who have no health care coverage at all. That's as many people as in the city of Milwaukee.
Wow.
No health care coverage at all. They get sicker with no care. So we said, one, if you're eligible for insurance, but you haven't gotten it because you couldn't navigate the exchange because it was too expensive, because you were young and you thought you were invincible and you'd never get sick, We're going to make it easier than ever. We're going to make it cheaper than ever. We're going to make it the kind of plan that's user-friendly. 24-hour number you can call, any problem, get directed to the doctor you need on the spot. That is our public option. That's a way that the city will provide an opportunity for health insurance. Second, if you're undocumented, 100,000 New Yorkers who are our neighbors, who contribute to our economy, they're undocumented. If they don't get health care, if they get sick, everyone gets sick. If the whole community isn't healthy, then we all suffer. So we're saying to them, we're going to give you a health care card. You're going to get a primary care doctor. When you need help, you get help. When your kids need help, you get help for them. And the whole community gets health care. I don't want someone who is part of the backbone of our economy, and that's the blunt reality in this country. Undocumented immigrants are part of our economy. I don't want them going to work sick and everyone else sick. I don't want their kids suffering. I want to make sure everyone's healthy, and if it's universal, everyone has a chance to do it.
But you understand people are saying, I don't want my taxpayer dollars paying for it.
You know what?
Exactly.
Pay me now or pay
But are
me
you
later.
concerned about abuse? Like people abusing the program? None of these programs are perfect. You know, it's a lot of... We're living in a city with a number of challenges. I ride the subway home every day, and the homelessness is heartbreaking. And so if you have people that are flocking here, because I'm assuming they will, to get free health care, how do you pay for all that? How do you manage that as a city?
Abby, very fair question. I don't think people will flock here. We're a city like a number of places in this country that try to do a lot to support people. We have not seen that influx over time of people coming here. You know, where we've seen the homelessness problem is in warmer environments. People go to the West Coast, they go to the places that are warm when
The state's gone up 50%, almost 50% since 2007.
But here's the bottom line. People need health care, and if we provide it, we think we end up with a better, stronger society, a healthier society, and we save a lot of money in the end, to Joy's point. Right now, we're hemorrhaging money because we're giving health care the
Can I ask
backwards
just
way.
one quick question, just super simple? Do you think the VA is run well, and it's a great medical organization?
No, of course not.
That's a government-run healthcare.
That's a federal government-run health care.
And do you think there's a difference between what's going to happen in New York and what's happening in the VA?
because we're closer to the
By the way,
ground.
veterans died waiting to get health care.
It's horrible. It's unconscionable. And we're closer to the ground, and we are accountable to our own people. And our public health system is working better and better.
You know what? You sound like a Republican a little bit, because they believe in small government, and you're saying do it on a local level. You're starting to sound like a Republican.
Well, Joy, I know you mean that in the best way.
I think the government running it.
I believe we should have a single-payer system. I believe we should have Medicare for all. But until we do, we have to take care of all our people. And people are having trouble making ends meet. We need to help them get health care.
So I like all of that. That all sounds good. You know what's really pissing me off?
What? I've never heard you pissed off before.
No, you actually haven't. You've built 83 miles of protected bike lanes, okay?
That woman is...
And I like bikes. I like people who ride, but I don't think you understand the impact of taking something like 10th Avenue, which is 6 lanes, down to 2.5, particularly when you have a winter storm and you can't move. None of that is movable, so you can't get, nothing flows. Also, I'm upset that you love these bikes, but you don't tell people to put a helmet on. We tell children to put helmets on.
Look,
this is an issue, and you know, you haven't taken down the size of the trucks. So a giant truck that is bringing food to New York, which is, you know, we got 9-block-long trucks delivering, and they can't make the turns. What feasibility study did you do when you decided to put these in? Because I know a lot of places, I noticed they're not on Madison Avenue, and they're not on Park Avenue.
They're all over, Whoopi, respectfully. They're
no,
all
they're not.
over.
They're not on Park and they're not on Madison.
They're not on every avenue for specific reasons, but they're all over the city in every kind of
The
neighborhood.
audience is mutinying.
Listen.
They say, no, it's not. I'm just saying, the audience of New York are saying no.
Here's the bottom line. The number one reason we have done this is a specific strategy we call Vision Zero. It is to reduce the number of traffic crashes and fatalities. We had, this last year in New York City, the fewest traffic fatalities since 1910. We had the fewest traffic fatalities.
In 1910.
Well, this is the amazing thing.
That was tricky. That was tricky.
It's not tricky. It's not tricky because in 1910 there were more horses than cars in New York City. Every year since then, the traffic fatalities went up and up. We brought it back down to the level of 1910 because these bike lanes slowed down
the city up. Well, it's not.
Listen.
Well, but you listen. You go through the city with a police escort. I come in every day, I come in every day. And I find that because you can't make a turn anywhere, you can't go straight anywhere. When there's a storm, people can't move anywhere because you got all these medians in the way. And I'm just saying, you might want to take a look at some of this because now you have Cuomo coming in talking about congestion pricing, and I kind of feel like it's a setup.
And she does complain about it every day.
Every day.
It's very genuine.
Yeah. Are you running in 2020?
I'm mayor of New York City. That's what I'm focused on.
That's not an answer.
It is a good answer.
Thanks to Mayor Bill de Blasio. We'll be right back.
That's the job.
Hey, it's Judd Apatow, and you guys probably know me as the director of movies like Knocked Up and The 40-Year-Old Virgin. Not to brag, but I was making entertainment value out of virgins long before The Bachelor even thought of it. He stole virginity from...
This gymnast sensation, whose flawless floor routine got over 23 million views in no time, well, tomorrow she speaks out live about all she's overcome and what it's like to be her now. Tomorrow, it'll be a perfect 10, only on GMA.
He's a writer, he's a producer, and he's the director of comedy blockbusters like The 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up, and his TV series Crashing starts its third season on HBO this Sunday. So please welcome Dad Bod runway model, Judd Apatow.
You own it, though, which makes it great.
Is that a good thing or not a good thing?
It will ultimately kill me in the end. But
Why, because it's the middle.
There was an article about dad bods.
Yeah.
And then there was a photo in it as an example of what it was, and the photo was of me.
Aww.
And it hurt. I'm stressed because I watch too much of the news. You guys are in it deep.
We're in it deep.
Right? Like it's aging me, I think.
It gives me anxiety, actually.
It does.
I shut it off when I go home.
My wife said, I'm going to start, about 6 months ago, she said, I'm going to start watching way less news because it's stressing me out too much. And I said, I am not going to.
Yeah.
I'm going to track it second by second. And now I am falling apart. I look like a wartime presence.
Yeah.
She's getting younger. She looks like Millie Bobby Brown now.
Yeah, but we're in a phase where they're actually taking him down, which is the good news.
Well, you know who's going to take him down is Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen is? Why?
Because you know when we made Knocked Up, this is a true story. Stormy Daniels was an actress in Knocked Up. And she showed up to work, and she told Seth in 2006 that she just had an affair with Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah?
That means if there's a congressional hearing, the first witness will be Seth Rogen.
Right.
And they'll be like, what's your name? I'm Seth Rogen. I didn't think it was a big deal. It's like saying you slept with Alex Trebek or something.
It's a great irony that a porn star would take him down, don't you think?
It's perfect symmetry, I think, don't you think?
So, you know, your wife has been here, Leslie.
She has.
And talks about the kids and the family and this whole... How are they? How are the children?
The children are doing well. What are they? Oh,
There they are. Very cute.
They're doing great. My daughter, Maud, just turned 21 years old.
Which one is Maud, on the right?
Maud is the one on the right.
Yeah.
And I just got drunk with her for the first time.
Really? Well, that's a charming little
You have to
tidbit.
do it, right? She turns 21. And I learned something by getting drunk with her, which is she's way cooler drunk.
Did you try that?
I did. I said, I'm sorry that I stopped you from drinking all these years. I think it's your natural states. And my other daughter, she's 16, she doesn't have the signature because they don't teach cursive writing in school, so she
How
just
old
prints.
is she?
She's 16. She's like, I don't need it. I have facial recognition technology. So everything she writes, she prints, and it all looks like the Zodiac Killer wrote a letter to the cops or something.
That is one of the biggest and dumbest mistakes to stop teaching that. I mean, what are they thinking?
She can't even read it. If you show her the Declaration of Independence, she's like, what language is that? What is that?
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
You're doing this show on HBO, and I know you did Comic Relief many moons ago when you were a young kid.
I was 18, yes.
And I wondered if we should do a Comic Relief-like show for the shutdown. Because whenever, even if it comes back next week, people still need stuff. And I think that would be a good way for people to help other people? Would you be...
Absolutely.
Would you do that?
I mean, all of those people have nothing to do with these decisions that really hurt their lives. You know, there was an election, and you know, the reason why Congress is Democratic is because most of the country said, we don't want a wall. So to shut the government down to get the thing that everyone just said they don't want.
You'd
seems
be
very
surprised,
unfair.
though, 42% want it.
Well, I think that's less than 58.
That still surprised me, though. And it's not nobody, though. It's not nobody.
But we know what's going to happen is there's going to be drones soon that could just like lift people over the wall, right? They'll have their own little personal drone.
Exactly.
And we'll build this wall. And it was like, zzz, and then why did we build this wall?
I know, it's a joke. It's a joke.
I say let's do it ourselves.
Yeah.
All
right.
Let's help the people. Let's help folks.
There's a photo of me in Comic Relief with Joan Rivers I wanted to show because I'm a hoarder, and I hoarded this photo since I was 20 years old.
Oh, my God, you were a little kid.
That lady who talked about
you?
throwing out your stuff is my mortal enemy. If I threw out my stuff, I wouldn't have that photo.
That's right.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
She never says throw out your photographs. Let's get that straight.
All right, so...
Because the photographs bring you joy and spark.
Speaking of Joy, who we all love, she's made a cameo on Crashing, and it's in its
thank you.
third
You know what? They
season.
cut out my funniest stuff. Forget about it.
Can you do that stuff right now so we know?
I don't remember, but I had really funny stuff with Arnie Lang, and you took it out. So what good is it?
You know, sometimes I have bad judgment. I'm not even going to fight you on it. There's a
that.
chance that I completely screwed that up.
You screwed that up.
Well, we do have a clip of this season, so let's play that.
Not me.
Yes.
Why are you returning that?
Mockery, mostly. Every time I wear it, people make fun of me. A friend of mine told me I look like I managed the band Hanson.
I love Hanson.
I also love Hanson. I don't think everybody loves Hanson. Some people just don't admit it.
Yeah.
Show me someone who watched Hanson and was like, what a bunch of tools.
Let me see that on you.
Right now?
Yeah.
All right. All right, guys, Mba from the top.
So, was that you as a blonde? So this wasn't a clip with you in it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, because I was...
I think the audience was anticipating
No.
So if we don't
a
have
clip
Joy,
with you.
He took my stuff
if we don't have our best material, why should we watch this season?
Well,
Tell us about it.
I feel like maybe you shouldn't watch now that I think about it, because I feel like I've wronged Joy after so many years of her bringing me joy.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
I'm Jewish. I'm feeling very guilty right now.
That's good.
Well, one of the episodes deals with a sort of angry white male who's out of touch with the Me Too era, and we talk a lot on the show, and Joy even says she probably couldn't get away with her stand-up today.
Sure.
Has comedy changed? Do you think we've become too PC?
Well, I think, you know, all comedy is an experiment, so that's the scary part for comedians is, you know, you have to step over the line to figure out where the line is. You know, this comedian does a terrible routine about how he doesn't understand consent, and where we got it was Bill Cosby did a speech at a college once, a graduation speech, where he mocked consent to the kids, and we thought, well, that's a good terrible routine to do.
That was before we knew stuff about him.
Yes,
though, right?
that's when we just thought.
So at that time it was tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
But, you know, you think about the Louis C.K. story, because he has just been under fire for basically making a joke about the Parkland kids. And making a joke about the victims instead of the NRA, which I would have done if it was me. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that, you know, I don't like the joke. I think it's a bad joke.
It wasn't funny enough.
I think the
let's say
take
it was
is
funny
bad.
enough. Would it be okay if it was funny?
Well, I think any subject can be triangulated from every angle and can be elevated. It didn't feel like in that case he was doing that, and I feel like the kids are healing. It hasn't been that long since that happened, so it didn't feel like it was...
Kind of obnoxious.
It wasn't adding anything positive into the world to do it, but he has the right to do it.
But you're like a comedy doctor in a way, you direct, write, and all that. Do you think that if he went out there, and then I'll go, do you think that if he went out there and he took a shot at himself and really came clean about what he did, that it would play? And that people would forgive him?
You know, we like when people are honest about their experience in comedy. I mean, Richard Pryor lit himself on fire, and then the next special, the main bit was about lighting himself on fire.
I know, but he did that to himself. He didn't whip out Mr. Happy and expect people to be enjoying like that. I have to go. As fascinating as this is, I want to thank Judd Apatow. Season 3 of Crashing premieres Sunday night on HBO. We'll be right back.
That's what we did today. That's what we did. We thank you for watching. We thank y'all for coming. We want you to have a great day. Ride a bike, wear a helmet. Take a little time to enjoy the view.